It's time to feel what you've been bottling up. Life in rural America isn't easy. The long hours, the constant pressures, the demands of the land, livestock, and family, it all takes a toll. We're tough and we've got grit, but somewhere along the way, toughness started meaning bottling up emotions and powering through. But here's the truth. That strategy, it's not working and it's poisoning us. Maybe you've noticed and maybe you haven't, but the numbers don't lie. We're breaking down and it's showing up in our bodies, our relationships, and in the rising suicide rates in agriculture. You don't have to carry any of it alone. There's another way. If you're ready to stop being weighed down and start moving forward, my one-on-one good movement guidance is now open. Visit the link in the show notes to learn more and see if one-on-one guidance could be for you.
I'll carry you, you carry me, we'll help each other through it. Come on and see, good movement draws good movement.
Welcome to Good Movement Draws Good Movement, the podcast where farmers, ranchers, and rural folks can grow relationally through awareness, understanding, and effective communication. Hey, it's T. I'm your host, and I, along with my guests, will be covering topics related to drawing good movement. Things like self and social awareness, brain science, positive psychology, extending grace, and so much more. We'll share tools that can help you understand why you are the way you are, why others are the way they are, and how you can use that to step out of self-told lies with grace and compassion to draw good movement in conversations, relationships, and life in rural America. Let's go draw good movement. Welcome back to the Good Movement Draws Good Movement podcast. Today, we're talking about a topic that I think is fairly often misunderstood. And that topic is self-care. And I am not talking about the kind of self-care you see on TV or in ads with bubble baths, fancy lattes, and splurging on spa days. Self-care is not a treat yourself type of deal like Tom and Donna from Parks and Rec. Bonus points if you are also a Parks and Rec fan. Self-care is actually a necessity. It's not a luxury or a treat. I mean, I get it. The term self-care gets tossed around a lot these days, and it's often painted as this indulgent, pampering experience. But that's not the full picture. It's not about spoiling yourself or doing something extravagant once in a while. Self-care is about meeting your most basic needs and taking care of your mind, body, and soul consistently. It's about maintenance, not indulgence. And I think we misunderstand self-care as selfish, that taking time for yourself or prioritizing your well-being somehow means you're neglecting or ignoring others. But let's get one thing straight here. If you are not taking care of yourself, you cannot effectively take care of others. I mean, you can try and it will work-ish for a while, but probs not without you feeling the weight and resentment of it all. So let's dive into what self-care really is and how it goes beyond the treat yourself version that we often think about. Self-care means taking care of the whole self, mind, body, soul. Each of these parts needs attention if we want to show up fully in our lives, relationships, and work. Starting with the mind. This could look like setting boundaries around what you consume, whether that's social media, the news, or conversations that drain you. For me, I have set boundaries for myself around both social media and the news. I don't have any conversations that consistently drain me, so that's not a boundary I've set for myself. But it's been years since I have limited my news and mainstream media consumption because honestly, I could not handle it. It was not good for my mental health to watch the news regularly. Now, I do stay informed. I just limit what I'm consuming. Same with social media. Taking care of your mind might also mean journaling your thoughts or practicing mindfulness. And sometimes it's simply about giving yourself permission to rest without guilt. That brings us to our bodies. Our bodies, they need movement, nourishment, and rest. And taking care of our physical selves doesn't have to mean a gym membership or a fancy yoga class. It could simply be getting outside, stretching after a long day, or, choosing foods that fuel you, like the ones that make you feel really good and they taste good and they're fuel, and not just the physical sense, but emotionally. And yes, it means allowing yourself to rest, especially in a demanding lifestyle like farming and ranching, where the work can feel never ending. The work actually can be never ending if you don't put an end to it and take a break and rest. And then there's the soul. This is where we connect with God. We connect with things that make us feel alive, at peace, and connected to our purpose. For some, that might mean time in nature or prayer or creative outlets. Whatever this looks like for you, feeding your soul isn't optional. It's vital. It's what keeps the spark alive when everything else feels like a grind. How do we actually weave self-care into our daily lives in a way that feels realistic and not like an extra thing that we have to do? Because let's be honest, the treat yourself version of self-care isn't sustainable or practical for most of us, especially in rural and agricultural communities where work, again, often feels never ending and can be never ending unless you put an end to it. First thing we can do, start small. Self-care doesn't have to be a big time-consuming thing. It can be as simple as taking 5 minutes to breathe deeply before starting the day. Maybe it's a walk around the pasture or down the dirt road. I personally love the sound of the gravel crunching under my feet. But when you're out there, you don't have to have an agenda other than to breathe in some fresh air. It can be as simple as that. These small moments add up and become habits that support our well-being. The second thing we can do is check in with ourselves. Make it a practice to ask yourself how you're feeling mentally, physically, and emotionally. When we get into the habit of checking in with ourselves, we start to notice patterns. When we're pushing too hard, when we're running on fumes, or when we need to slow down. So just check in with yourself. How do I feel today? Am I tired? Do I need a nap? Am I hungry? Should I eat something? These are little things that we can do. Setting boundaries, also a great self-care practice. This is one of the most powerful forms of self-care, actually. So this means saying no to taking on extra work, stepping away from people who drain your energy, or setting limits on your screen time. It's about protecting your energy so you can show up better for the things and people that truly matter. Something else you might do is prioritize rest. In our culture, especially in rural life, rest can feel like a foreign concept. I mean, shit. Sometimes we even brag about our long hours or how much we've worked without a day off. We wear it like a badge of honor that we haven't taken a day off and that we're exhausted and we just keep pushing through and pushing through and pushing through. We're so conditioned to think that rest is a luxury or something that we have to earn after working ourselves to the bone. But rest is not a luxury, it's essential. Taking time for sleep, quality sleep, naps, or even just a few moments to sit and breathe is a big, important part of self-care. You cannot run your equipment 24/7, 365 without shutting it off, changing the oil, all the things. And you can't do that with yourself. We don't do that with our horses that we use on the ranch. We don't do it with our mechanical equipment. So why do we think that we're something other than human? Why do we think that we're superhuman and that we can do all of this without rest? Rest is such a big one for me. We can also find moments for our soul. Think about what fills you up. the spaces where you see God the clearest or hear him the loudest. Maybe it's spending time with your animals, sitting in silence at dawn with a cup of coffee in a ceramic mug, warming your hands. Now, you might be saying, T, that is oddly specific, and you would be right because that is part of my morning routine. But it might also be like playing music that you love or doing an activity with your kids or family or riding your horse, whatever it is. Those moments, they're not just nice to haves. They're necessary for your soul. And we often put off these moments because they feel like they don't contribute to productivity. But in reality, they are the fuel that keeps us going. Maybe we need to redefine productivity. I don't know. Now, let's circle back to the idea that self-care is selfish. Taking care of yourself is one of the least selfish things you can do. When you are well, you are able to show up more fully for the people you love. You're more present, you're more patient, and you're more capable of being the person that you want to be. If anyone is out there feeling guilty for taking time for themselves, I want to give you full permission to set down that guilt and walk away. You need to care for yourself because good movement draws good movement, and taking care of yourself allows you to be more gracious and give more generously. So let's redefine self-care together, shall we? Self-care is not an occasional luxury or indulgence. It's a daily practice. It's tuning in to what your mind, body, and soul need and finding small ways to honor that every single day. It's about shifting our perspective to see self-care as a necessity and a form of maintenance that keeps us steady and grounded and ready to show up for the people that we love and the work that really matters to us. Remember, you do not need permission to take care of yourself, but if you do, here it is. And with that, until next time, draw good movement. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for you. If you found value in this episode, I'd love for you to share with others who might also benefit from tuning in. Share by word of mouth, send it in a text, take a screenshot and post it on social media, or share however you prefer. And if you haven't already, hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, draw good movement.